Counselor Accents Podcast. Two school counselors who love their jobs. Oh, and they happen to have Southern accents too. Bless their hearts.
I'm Laura Rankler.
And I am Kim Crumbly. And together we are Counselor Accents.
And Kim, I know that you know this. I want our listeners to know we are in the presence of greatness today. We have Sandy Austin from Colorado with us. And the things that she has done are fascinating. So you're going to want to be ready to devote all of your attention to this episode. Sandy, welcome to Counselor Accents Podcast.
Oh, thanks, Laura and Kim. What a pleasure to be with you guys today. And from Colorado, this is not my backyard, but these are the Maroon Bells in Colorado behind me. So from Colorado, we want to say good morning to everybody.
And good morning to you. Good morning to you. And I believe we have talked Sandy into some Southern language.
I think she already knew some Southern language.
She already knew some
She's
Southern. I thought she'd say, good morning, y'all.
Yeah.
Tell us a little story about your language encouragement in the Southern linguistics.
What's interesting is before as a school counselor, which I was a school counselor for 21 years, I was a phys ed teacher for 10 years. And I wasn't the typical PE teacher, get down and give me 10. I had more of the counselor heart, where I was looking at those kids that would come to my class and were discouraged or embarrassed to change out or had bad experiences with being picked last on teams and things like that. So I did not do any of that stuff in my classes. But anyway, that's not about my accent type situation. But so I was in Texas for a couple of years, down in little old Caldwell, Texas. And so when I came down there, the kids heard me saying "you guys," and so when we say "you guys" in Colorado, we mean males and females, everybody. That's like y'all in Texas and in the South and Alabama. But anyway, so what happened is as the kids, so I was also a volleyball coach. And so the kids at the beginning of the season said, "Miss Austin, we're going to make you say y'all." And I said, "No, I'm going to make you guys say you guys first before you make me say y'all." And so anyway, so what happened is we were here in our own volleyball tournament that we were hosting. We were in the championship game. And so what happened is the score got to be 14-14. And so I called in the championship game of the match, 14-14. So I called the timeout. And so then what happened is we just had something bad happen and we lost that next point. So it was 15-14. We were behind. And my captain looked over at me like, "Miss Austin, are you going to call a timeout?" And I said, "Judy, I don't have any more timeouts." And so she said, "Okay, you guys, come here. And I just started laughing. She was pulling the kids together on the court. And I'm going, "Ah!" And they're going, "Miss Austin, what are you doing?" I said, "Judy, you said you guys. You said you guys." And they go, "Ah!" And they all laughed and everything. And we won the tournament.
Oh, yay.
So that was great. So anyway, so
You won.
That's right. I did.
In 2 ways, you won.
That's right. That's right.
Love it.
Well, we first met you on a Zoom call a few nights ago in regards to something else. But when we got off that call, this was a call with how many people? About 15 people.
Yes.
But when we got off the call, we were so drawn to your energy, and we really didn't get to talk to you other than just to see you in the presence of all of these people. And I just have to tell you that your joy for life shines through. So
Absolutely.
you know that? We don't know you first time we met you. Just seeing your beaming smile and your joy for life and your easy laughter. And I could even see the respect that the other people had for you. You're very humble. I don't even know if you picked that up, but I picked all of that up. And Laura and I about the same time had the thought, as did someone else on Angela Cleveland, who had the thought. We all had it at the same time. We got to get Sandy on here. So we're so happy to have you. And for those that are listening, if you could just see her brilliant smile and joy, it just is a great pick-me-up during this time of craziness. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, Sandy, there's a saying that said there's nothing new in the world. And we're looking at a situation that is so new, but yet, is it really? And when it comes to trauma, when it comes to mental health issues, we've been here before. Maybe not in this magnitude, but tell us a little bit about your history and how you've been maybe in this place of dealing with an overwhelming sense of emotional need that we find ourselves in.
All right, thank you, Kim. And there's a saying out there that uh, only true joy, true happiness, or the people that have the most joy and most happiness are some of those that have gone through the most trauma. And so I have been through some devastating things, just some very difficult things as a counselor and personally too, as I was growing up and things. But so that's where my joy comes from, is I've seen the resiliency of people, and that's what's has moved me and motivated me and inspired me, seeing how people have taken the difficult things of life and they've made something of their lives. They've kept going, and maybe they're not real joyful and stuff either, but they've made it through, and that's what's powerful. And so anyway, so again, I grew up in Jefferson County Schools in Colorado. That's a Lakewood, Colorado area, which is the Columbine district. I had student taught at Columbine because one of my favorite teachers I ever had growing up was a teacher there. And again, I started out as a PE teacher. So I student taught there and coached with a guy named Dave Sanders. He's one of the coaches. And so then anyway, what happened, I wanted to teach in the district. It was the biggest district in Colorado. But the problem was when I got out of college, when I was graduating, the requirement for phys ed in Colorado had dropped to a semester instead of 2 years. So the problem was all these PE teachers were losing jobs. So my mentor told me, Sandy, if you can go out of state, get full-time experience, then come back, then you'll be competitive, more so than the others that can't get PE jobs. And so I'm a person of faith, and so God's been good to me. But anyway, so I went to Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and was teaching out there, and eventually came back to Colorado. And then to teach PE, I did get that job, like she said. But then the problem was from an injury I had in Arizona. After a few years, it wore on my hip, and I had to have total hip replacement. So I had to get out of PE, and I thought, what would I want to do? And my counselor my school counselor in high school, she believed in me, and she believed that I could, she was hard on me, but she believed in me. And so that really helped me. I thought, if I could inspire a kid like she inspired me, that would be worth everything if I could inspire one person. And so anyway, so I went into counseling. So then what happened was, long story short, I wasn't able to get a job in the Jeffco district at that time because you had to have 3 years in the district. I only had 2 years. So I went out of the county. I got a year of counseling there, but I had taken a $4,000 pay cut, and I thought I can't afford that. So I got back into Jeffco. That year I got back into Jeffco was 1999. So on April 20th, 1999, we heard someone said there was a shooting at Columbine. And so we turned on a little TV in our counseling department, and we were watching. And since I had student taught there, I knew that area so well and everything. My heart was just pounding. It's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Then we got a call from the district office for anyone that can get out of their schools that can be released, please come over to Columbine, because most of the schools in the district were shut down, were locked down. And so, but we were far enough away that they said, Sandy, go down there. So I was there. Got there at about 1. The shooting started at 11. Got there at 1. Kind of funny story there with that, but I won't go into that. But so I got there, was there at 1 o'clock. Just boy, the stuff that we dealt with that day. What happened is all the students were sent to Leawood Elementary to meet their parents, and so through that day I was so in the gym. Everyone was told to go into the gym, and so as I was there from 1 o'clock until 10:30, people would congregate. Their kids were being brought over on the bus and that type of thing. And so anyway, so I worked with 8 families there, and that means how are you doing? What's your kid's name? Who, and all those types of things. And so it was really triage type thing that we were doing there, just asking how they were doing, if there was anything I could do for them. And so through that time, out of those 8 families, 6 of them had their students come into the gym. 2 of them didn't, and that was Cassie Bernal's family and John Tomlin's family, and they ended up being killed that day. And so, and I don't know how much you want me to talk about details or anything. We can let me know on that. So anyway, but at the end of that night, at 10:30, was leaving. And well, what happened is they pulled all the families together that were still there. There were about 15 families there. And so what happened is they pulled everyone together and they said, we don't know. We don't know if your kids are here. What was interesting, we heard of one story of a kid, and a lot of families didn't have cell phones back then, but one kid had just taken off and ended up in Kansas, drove to his grandparents in Kansas. He was so traumatized, and none of us knew where he was, didn't know if that he wasn't in the hospital. So his parents were wondering, what's going on? Is my kid killed? Has he been killed? So just different things. So there are 15 families there waiting, and they came and they said, okay, we know some students have died, and they said, we don't know about your students. They said, we will let you know, but we encourage you guys to go home. An advocate will go with you, and just let us know whatever we can do for you. So then at that night they said, if you can come the next day the school district was shut down. So I was in the crisis drop-in center all day from 7 till about 10:30 that night. The next day, that night they said, Sandy, can you be released from your school tomorrow to come down and help us in some of the feeder schools as we're opening up schools? And so I contacted my principal, and he was an interim principal who was a retired Columbine principal. He said, Sandy, you stay down there as long as they need you. And so that day I ended up opening up one of the schools so Dave Sanders, the teacher that I had coached with, he was the teacher that was killed. And so that first day, that school that I was at, that was where his wife was a paraprofessional in the kindergarten. So every grade level at that school had been impacted, because there were kindergartners that were now all the way up to 6th grade. And so they were all impacted. The staff were really impacted. So I was there that evening. I went to the crisis drop-in center again, where the Columbine students and the staff members came together. The next day I was at another elementary school where 4 of the kids that had died had gone through there. And so they were really impacted. On the weekend, I was there in the crisis drop-in center. Then they had the big memorial service. And so I was there just mingling around in the crowd and seeing how people were doing. The next Monday and Tuesday, then I went to the feeder school of Columbine, Ken Carroll Middle School, and I was there. And then on Wednesday, Tuesday night, they said, Sandy, we have enough people. So everyone that was left there were about 4 of us school counselors that were still involved at that point. And they said, you guys can go back to your own school. And then I was single, didn't have any kids or anything, still don't. So I said, you guys, my heart is here with you guys. Since I student taught in Columbine, you guys are so close to my heart. I said, whenever you guys need help, you let me know. So I helped out with some evening things through the rest of that semester. That was April 20th when that happened. And then that summer I volunteered 2 days a week. And I was there so much that they said, Sandy, you're volunteering so much. Jefferson Center for Mental Health said, let's put you on our payroll to pay you. So anyway, I was at the teen center that summer, and then 1 day a week, and then counseling at Ken Carroll Middle School 1 day a week to be there for the kids, the staff, and the families of the Columbine kids. So then 2 years later, at my school that I was a counselor at Green Mountain High School at that time, 3 months after 9/11, 2 months after 9/11, we had 3 suicides within a month at my school at Green Mountain, and then another suicide 7 months later. And it was just so devastating. And that's where it was very interesting. It's like, oh, I'm feeling this again, the same type of feeling that was at Columbine. But the difference from Columbine, the tragedy was over. And so we were just doing the cleanup. With Green Mountain, with 3 suicides within a month, and that was from November 5th to December 3rd, we were just reeling, and we knew we just had to get into the winter break so we could breathe. And then coming back that next semester, we had 48 students put on 72-hour holds for suicide. And so it was that was what was so different from the Columbine experiences. Every day we were worried that we were going to get another call of another suicide, and so that's where, um, but what has been incredible has been the resilience of the kids, and that's what I talk about all the time. In seeing how those kids handled that and everything, it was very, very difficult, but through the years, it's just been incredible. So anyway, that's my trauma experience in a lot of ways.
That's a lot.
I
I
know.
mean,
What do you say after that?
You
um,
were, I'm going to say, your first couple of years, you were baptized by fire
Yes,
into
yes,
the school counseling world. I can't imagine. You went through more trauma within 3 years
yeah,
because I don't know if you mentioned it here or if I heard it doing some studying up on you, but 9/11 came shortly after that too. So you
yes,
have more trauma within the first couple of years than most of us do during our whole career.
yes. Boy, I remember driving over to Columbine that day when they said, please come, and driving over there and listening to the reports on the news, and people were driving crazy. I mean, people were just, and when I got to the Columbine area, it's like there was this cloud over the area. It was a heaviness, and just hearing the reports, there are shooters on the school roof. There are shooters in the park. There, all this, and it's like I'm going, this is back in 1999, and I had finished my program in 1996. I graduated in 1996, and so 1997 was my first year, 97, 98, and I'm going, we never talked about anything like this in my training. It's like, what do I do? And so on those things, you go to your root system, and I was praying the whole way over there, saying, God, I have no idea what to do here. You got to help me. And he helped me definitely in a lot of ways, but gave me the strength to keep going. But oh my gosh, it was such a heaviness, and oh, so fearful. It was just, oh.
Sandy, when you talk about getting into the suicide situation that you found yourself in,
Yes.
um, how many counselors were there with you at that school to support?
We had 5 counselors at that time. Let me
Okay,
think here. 1, 2, 3. No, 4 counselors. 4 counselors
so
at
you,
Green Mountain, and we had 1,500 students.
wow, okay, yeah. As and Laura kind of knows, I came from a high school, and I actually became so burdened myself that from dealing with some situations like
Mm,
what you're talking, not near that level,
mm,
but I, it becomes so hard for a school counselor when you begin to start to internalize, which is what I
yes,
did, to be
yes,
honest with you. I
yes,
just began to internalize
yes.
it, and it was so hard to recover for me,
Mm,
going through some just not even a but it was tough dealing with high school students, dealing with those things. But
mm.
so did you find yourself having to seek support? And you talk about your faith, but I imagine that was a very hard for you mentally also.
Oh, it was. And but what was incredible at the very beginning of this whole thing with the Columbine tragedy, and this showed me, what really showed me through anything that has ever happened the rest of my life, was what happened was the night that I got back from the Columbine tragedy, I put a message out to 3 of my friends. 3 of my real close friends emailed me that night and said, Sandy, how are you doing? I know you're in the Columbine district. And I said, I was at Columbine today over there in the area. No one was at Columbine, but I said, so I was counseling there today. I said, I'd appreciate your prayers. I'm going back tomorrow. So then the next night I had 40 emails from people, their friends and other people I didn't know. The next night I had, what was it, 200 emails from people all over the world saying, we have heard, and I didn't put it out anywhere except for those 3 friends. They said, I've heard that you are helping with the Columbine tragedy. I'm praying for you. So what was very, very interesting, and again, uh, reality is reality. The next day, on that Friday, when we were opening up the second elementary school, there was a mom that came up. She didn't come up to me, but when she brought her kid to school that day, I just saw her face, and after she dropped off her daughter. She just like had a deer in the headlights look. And I said, can I help you? Do you have any questions or anything? And she said, I'm scared. And I said, tell me about it. She said, my daughter just asked me to come back at 1:00 today for their craft time. She said, I am just so nervous being in this school, wondering, could something happen here? Worrying about my daughter, how she's going to do today, all this stuff. And she said, I don't think I can come back. I couldn't handle being in here for that. I said, well, and you guys, I've never been a mom, so I don't know. I'm going, God help me. What does she need to hear? And I remembered those people were praying for me. And I said, and I was praying, Lord, help me. What do I say? And it's like I said, so tell me, what are some things that you like to pamper yourself with? If you're kind of down or whatever, exhausted, what do you do to pamper yourself? She said, take a hot bath, read a book, and bike. And I said, okay. It was snowing that day, so I said, well, you can't bike or anything. But I said, how about between now and noon or whatever, take a hot bath and read a book. And I said, just do that and just see how you're doing. And if you can't, if you say, I just can't go, then don't come. I said, but see how you're feeling. So at about 12:30, I saw her come through the door and she said, Sandy, that really helped.
Oh.
She said, now I'm ready to be there for my daughter in that class. And I just thought, thank you, God, because I had no idea what I was saying. I'd never thought of that stuff before. So that's how, but yes. And so I have had counseling during my life, when there have been tough things. I've had a couple great counselors. And so I saw that counselor during that time after Columbine and with the suicides at Green Mountain. It's like, I've got to take care of myself too. And through a lot of times I wasn't able to do anything until things settled down a little bit because I didn't have time after school to go. But that's what helped, is my faith and talking to a counselor, that really helped me in so many ways. And just the support of everyone, all my friends and family and people checking in on me, email me. A lot of times I didn't have time to email them back, but just saying, Sandy, I'm thinking about you today. I know, with the suicides, it can take so much, or the Columbine. So that's what has been so important. And what's interesting is during those suicides, I was also president of the Colorado School Counselor Association. So I'm trying to run an organization and do all but what was amazing with that is that the board members were incredible. They were a lot of those people calling, leaving a message for me at school. Hey, Sandy, just thinking about you today. Just let me know what you need, or if I can help in any way, and stuff like that. So that's where I know actually that was. Yeah, it was during the suicides that I was, during the Columbine tragedy, I was a region rep for CSCA. So not as many responsibilities with that at that time.
Sandy, Kim and I have this saying, and it's not just us, other people say it too. But when we have gone through things in our life, we say we want to give a purpose to the pain, because just to go through painful situations and not grow from it or learn from it or create something, then it's a waste. And so you certainly gave a purpose to the pain that you have experienced and saw other people's experience. And through this, you created a wonderful program called Bionic. Can you talk about Bionic for a little bit? The name of Sandy's program is called Bionic, which stands for Believe It or Not, I Care. I love that.
You bet. Oh, be careful. You open that door, I can talk forever on that. So anyway, what was happening? So when we started to have those 48 72-hour holds, it's like, oh my gosh, we're not doing something right, or this is just so out of control. We need to start from scratch. We need to start over. We need to throw everything out that we've been trying and everything. And so anyway, so we started talking to kids and finding out what were the issues. So there were, of those first three guys, all four of the suicides were boys. And so what happened is started talking to the friends and family members of those guys to find out what they were going through and that type of thing. And so what was happening is couple of them had depression, were clinically depressed. Another one had been bullied. Another one had gotten in trouble with the law. And so what happened then that fall when they came to school, one had experienced the death of an uncle. Another had been hospitalized. First day back at school, his math teacher says, okay, what's the answer to this question? And he's going, I've been in the hospital for a month. And she said, it was a brand new teacher, so she didn't understand. She goes, yeah, I know you're in the hospital, but you're just laying in your bed. Didn't you do the homework? I kept sending you the homework. And so then he got embarrassed, stopped going to that class, stopped going to the next class. The next class became a discipline problem because he was ditching, and then spiraled down, and he ended up taking his life. So some of those things were happening, more bullying. The guy who had gotten in trouble with the law for drinking, he got in trouble again. And no one knew this, but he had told his girlfriend, if I get in trouble with the law again for drinking, I'm going to take my life. And he did, and he did. And so anyway, so what was amazing is just finding out, I thought, okay, two of the guys were kind of shipped to our school to get away from substance abuse issues at another school, to get them away from those groups. And so the problem was we didn't have any way of welcoming them into the school. For the one guy, he was a basketball player, really good basketball player at the other school. And with this happened before the basketball season. So he was kicked out of basketball for that season. And so, again, the season hadn't started yet. So the parents thought, let's send him to another school so he can play basketball. So he came to our school, and we know when a kid is new to a school, whichever group gloms onto them, they're pretty much stuck in that group. Unless they have good self-advocacy skills. And this young man, he was just struggling, and so he didn't. And so he ended up taking his life. He got back into that group again. And so anyway, I thought, we've got to reach out to new students. We've got to reach out to kids that are out sick. We've got to reach out to kids that are hospitalized, kids that are bullied. And the bullying came later, because I'll talk about that. But and then kids that lost loved ones. And so I thought, we've got to reach out to the kids that are going through those things, to let them know they're seen, they matter, and people care. And so because they're friends, what was interesting is after the suicides, then the kids started telling us, he did mention, what's worth living for, or whatever. And the kids didn't know those signs but all those kids had said something. But the kids weren't trained. They don't know how to look for those things. And so I thought, if we could start a club just to reach out to these kids in these very basic ways, as school counselors, we want to reach out to kids that are new, that are out sick, that are hospitalized, that lose loved ones. But a lot of times we don't know that until a month later. We never hear it. And so they're there sitting in those classes, trying to go through learn those lessons and everything. And they're dealing with all these other issues that are going on. And so they're just struggling. But I thought, if we can know which kids are struggling like that, we can get them that support. So then hopefully they'll be okay. And so and I thought, okay. And I was peer counseling co-sponsor at the time of the suicides. And so after hearing these things, I talked to them. I said, you guys, I think we should have like a new student lunch or something like that. And peer counselors were doing some of that stuff, but they weren't doing everything I thought we should be doing. And so I said, these are some ideas that I have for reaching out to new students. I said, then also for kids that are hospitalized, I'd like us to go to the hospital and visit the kids. For kids that lose loved ones, I'd like to do these outreaches, deliver pies to their homes and that type of thing. Send get well packets to kids that are out sick. And they said, Miss Austin, we just don't have time to do all that, and they didn't. And I thought, okay, this is so serious. So I resigned in the middle of the year from peer counseling. And I said, and so someone took my place as another counselor, and I started the club and started Bionic. And so what was so neat is just to see the kids respond. So this was a year later then, after the suicides, and we put a little thing out and just said, hey, you guys, do you care? Do you want to make a difference? Do you want to reach out to kids that are going through tough times? And so the average club at Green Mountain was about 12 kids. So we thought, okay, let's get a room for about 15. And so we put it out on the announcements. And the first luncheon, we had 40 kids show up. It's like, whoa. Then the second one, we had 20 show up. So it's like, okay, there's a need. And so, and in 14 years then, and I transferred to another school, Pomona High School, 10 years after being at Green Mountain. So in 14 years at Green Mountain and Pomona High School, we had 1,200 kids. I had 1,200 kids on the Bionic team that reached out to over 140,000 people that were going through tough times. And so, and then also another aspect of Bionic is we reach out to other schools that experienced tragedy because of what we'd gone through and what Columbine had gone through. I knew that was important for us to reach out to other schools going through tragedy. So that's what was amazing, and I'm doing that full time now. A couple of years, well, the last couple of years with all the increased school shootings and the increased suicides across the country, people were saying, Sandy, would you please retire early and do Bionic full time because we need it in all the schools. And what was interesting is through the years, we had done presentations at the Colorado School Counselor Conference and other conferences, the ASCA conferences. So we've had over 1,000 I get choked up about it. We've had over 1,000 and now actually 1,200 since this year. But at that time, 1,000 schools, school counselors that have inquired about starting a Bionic team at their schools and wanting more information about it. So that's where that kept, being a school counselor full time and doing CSCA. And I've written 3 books and things. It's like I didn't have time to follow up with those 1,000 schools. And so people kept saying, Sandy, please start Bionic as a full time and everything, and just things happened, and won a couple awards and won a kind of a pitch competition, kind of like a Shark Tank type thing, won $160,000 through that. And it's like, okay, I guess I have to start Bionic as a nonprofit. So retired back in the spring, and I've been doing it full time. Back in the fall, we had 41 new schools start Bionic teams, and now we're expanding to other states. So just had to get it established in Colorado, and now we're looking for other places. So
well, we are going to talk to some folks in Alabama. I would love this practical idea. It's so practical,
Yes.
and I'll definitely share this with some folks that we know, because we're always looking for, as Laura and I we love practical ideas. And it's rubber meets the road, we say.
Yes.
We can do this. It sounds like you're kind of that person too.
Yes.
Well, a lot of the stuff you've talked about has been Sutton, Sutton, the suicide Sutton, the Columbine, of course, was Sutton. This COVID that we see now, and it's almost like a fog that has rolled in slowly, and
Yes.
we're not really sure how far reaching or how far life altering or changing. We imagine significantly, but time is not passed enough. We're not back in the schools yet. What can you say to us as counselors to help us prepare? And we see the similarities with some of the past trauma, your experience with what we can learn and do going forward.
Oh, as I've been thinking about it and thinking through everything, the thing that really, with Columbine, what was amazing when I was there counseling those kids and going through different things, I did some community events where I was asked to go and counsel and be available there at those things. I'll give you an example of one thing that happened. There was a church thing where a bunch of the churches in the area had gotten together, and it was an event by students for students. So some of the other schools in that area of Columbine, the kids from those schools wanted to do something for the Columbine kids, and so they brought in some big name speakers and musicians to just have kind of an inspirational night. What was amazing, and this was a week after the shooting, and what was amazing is I was there, and near the end of it, I was out kind of in the foyer, just waiting for the kids to come out, and I saw a kid coming out on a cane, and he had 3 friends with him, and he was kind of hobbling out, so I knew he had been shot. And what was sad with the shooters is they had shot the kids in the joints and saying, whenever you feel this pain, I want you to remember me. And so this kid, he had been shot in the knee or the ankle or something like that, or the hip. And so he was hobbling on a cane. And so he was just going slow, and he was getting close to the door to get out of the church. he was just tired. And so one of the kids said, here, get on my back. So he leaned down in front of him. And so the Columbine guy was going, and this was a big strapping kid. He looked like an athlete. And, a lot of the athletes were targeted by the shooters. And so I know it was really humbling for him. But what he did is he was going, and he couldn't do it. And he did it again. And he got on the guy's back and they walked out. And then that was so indicative of the courage, the resilience of those kids at Columbine. As I talked with the kids in the summer and stuff like that. And then I saw that at Green Mountain again, those kids that were resilient. And I just talked to one of our original Bionic team members last night. She's 33, I think now. And this was what's incredible. She's done some things. She was going to be a doctor. She had gone to Cornell. She had gone to Johns Hopkins. And then her family said, you need to come back and help us with our dry cleaning business. She put on hold her dreams of being a doctor to be there for her family. And I just said, it's amazing. So she should have been a doctor already for 5 or 6 years, but no, but her attitude and everything is amazing. And seeing that resilience. And so right now, what happened when she wanted to start going into it again and getting her doctorate, they said, your master's is too old. You need to redo a master's. So she just finished her master's. Now she's going into her doctorate program in June. And so that's what's incredible. That's these guys, the resilience, what we have to do with the kids. And this is so frustrating. Whenever I see a school shooting, they always have the talking heads out there. These people that want to be reelected, that want to be elected, that have their agendas and that type of thing, have a bone to pick with people. These adults are out there spewing their agenda, and it's like, shut up. It's like, listen to the kids. The kids are the ones that know what's going on. They know the kids that are in that school that could be the school shooters. They see the kids that are being bullied in the restroom when no one else is around. They see the kids that are being bullied in different areas. They know the kids that could become suicidal, the kids that are eating alone, that are walking home alone, that are withdrawing from their friends. The kids know that stuff. They're brilliant. It's like, we need to empower the kids to make the difference. And that's what I loved about Pomona and Green Mountain Bionic teams is I was the leader of it, but I empowered the kids. I didn't lead the meetings. At Pomona, I ended up leading the meetings a little bit more, but I didn't like that. At Green Mountain, we had our student coordinator. They ran the big team meetings. We had and then assistant student coordinator under that person. Then every team, we have the individual teams, a new student team, extended illness team, bully prevention team, loss team, hospitalization team, and then an intergenerational team, which was what has been amazing, what's happened between the elderly and the kids. But anyway, so we had 2 leaders on each of those teams, and those kids would run the outreaches. They'd be running everything. And that's what Danielle was one of our powerful leaders through the years, and seeing what she's doing. So many kids, if their family would have said, no, you need to come and help us with our dry cleaning business, so many kids would say, forget you, and never talk to the parents again or whatever, and then have problems the rest of their lives because they couldn't handle different things. But but that's what I've seen with these bionic students, the ones that are out there now that have graduated, that they go into the businesses when they're going into their careers, whether it's right out of high school or after college, and they're saying, Miss Austin, my business needs a bionic team because there are new employees out sick, employees are hospitalized, employees that lose loved ones, and there are tragedies at other businesses. We need to be reaching out. But that's what's so exciting is we've got to empower the kids. And that's where, as I was thinking with this, the quarantine and everything, I thought, boy, those kids that that were kind of at risk before all this, and now they're at home, if it's an abusive situation at home or whatever, or if they're lonely or if they were suicidal, I thought, we've got to give them some hope. We've got to give them something to have their eyes on. That we know that there's research out there to where when we reach out to other people, our mental wellness improves. And so I thought, what can we do? So I came up with the idea, #ViralCaring. And so what we're doing is every day we're putting out a kindness quote type thing on all of our social media. And we're encouraging people to share it and that type of thing. And so anyway, so what's happening is every day we're hoping that people are sharing that to all their friends. We're telling people, look at your friends list, look at your email list, look at your phone list, and just start contacting people and say, Aunt so and so, I haven't seen you in 5 years. How are you doing? I know they're saying all the elderly are having problems. How are you doing? Or, so and so, you were my best friend, and when I was in such and such, or 5 years ago, and you moved, or whatever. How are you doing? And just connect with people. And that's what's been exciting to see. Oh my gosh, the first 3 weeks we had over 100,000 likes or loves on our posts, and then over 10,000 shares. And that was 2 weeks ago. I haven't looked lately to see what was going on, but so many people that I don't even have I don't have the foggiest idea how they found out about it or whatever, but that's what's exciting. And people are saying, thank you for giving us something to look for. And so we created a little contest for the kids that get the most points. They'll get a pizza party for 8. For the school staff member or adult that gets the most, they get a free night stay at a hotel here in Colorado. So anyway, so different things like that. And so and if anyone gets 500 points, they get a bionic t-shirt. So anyway, but just things that, and I thought, we've got to give people something to the whole thing is just letting people know that there are people out there that care. And again, that's what's powerful, is we've got to empower the kids. I tell the kids always, dream. What do you think? What do you do? One girl said, Miss Austin, I want to reach out to the veterans on Veterans Day. I said, okay, what do you have? Do you have ideas? She said, I saw something on Facebook. It's called A Million Thanks. And you do cards, you make these cards, you send them to this organization, then they get them to the veterans or the active military. And so I said, let's do it, Madeline. So you're in charge of it. And so she did it. We had 1,500 students at our school, and we made these cards, gave them out to every student and every staff member. And I thought, we'll see how many do this. We got 750 back. But what was amazing is that was during the time with the NFL that people were kneeling during the national anthem. And so I thought, oh my gosh, we need to look at these cards to make sure no one's saying, whatever. It's like that they need to be honoring the veterans. And so anyway, it was amazing. Only one card we threw out because we couldn't even read it, and it wasn't bad or anything. It's just like we couldn't even decipher what it was saying. So we sent them out, and then we started getting cards back about a month later. What happened is, we didn't know this would happen. They gave these to the vets coming back from the I've just lost the word. When they would go send them back to the memorials back in DC, the honor flights.
Yes.
I
want to help you.
Thank you. I need some oxygen in my brain. I'm talking so much. But anyway, we started getting these letters back from the veterans saying, I just went on the honor flight to Washington, D.C. to see the memorials and stuff. And coming back on the flight back, we got a stack of 30 cards from your students and staff members. And they said, that has made my life. They said, thank you. And that, the people said, I cried when I started reading those. And so, but that's it. The kids have the ideas. The kids know the greatest ways to impact their generation. And then they inspire all of us adults. So that's the thing. That's what we have to do is, yes, we have to get the counseling. We have to support them in all those ways. But that's where, when we are reaching out to others and making a difference, we feel better about things too. And we have a better outlook, and we have the resilience to make it through things. So that's what I've seen in working with kids. And this girl last night, oh my gosh, we talked for an hour, and just seeing her, and I said, you hang in there, girl. I said, there's a reason why you're just getting your doctorate now. And I said, the maturity and the wisdom that you have. This is a girl, she's Korean. She could go, a few years ago, she had said she could see herself going to Korea when they were remaking their whole health system. She said, I could go back there and help them with that. So that's the big idea. Is I tell the kids all the time, dream, we need you. What are your gifts and talents in this world? And what can you do? And I'll be your cheerleader and, do what I can to help you find some scholarships and stuff and things. But that's the thing is, you guys, school counselors out there, you guys, bless you. I love you guys. I wish I could give each of you a hug and send you each a coffee card and just thank you for the difference you're making with your kids. And I know you guys, I just interviewed our executive director for Colorado School Counselor Association this morning for a thing we're doing for Giving Tuesday. In fact, what we're doing is, as I've been hearing from the different counselors what's going on. In fact, I'll mention this, and if any of your people want to do this, we'll get it. We're doing a thing, QPR training is suicide. It's a 1 hour training. You can do it online, but it's updated information and everything. And as I've been talking with school counselors, some of them are younger or their suicide prevention training is quite old. And I thought, let's raise money to provide QPR training for any school counselor that needs it. And so we're doing Giving Tuesday to do that. It's $5. I talked to QPR Institute. I said, $30. I'd love to get it for all the school counselors in Colorado that are CSEA members. It's $1,000. They said, we'll give it to you for $5. And actually that's anywhere right now. But $5. And so we're doing this thing. But anyway, talking to Matthew McLean today and hearing what he's a dad. He has 2 kids at home. He's trying to teach, he and his wife are trying to teach the kids, and he's concerned about his kids at school, trying to lead the state organization, all this stuff. And it's like, bless you guys. You guys are making it, do the best you can. Do those little things like I had said with that mom years ago with Columbine. Do those little things to pamper yourself. If it's reading a book or taking a walk or taking your dog on a walk or painting or something or do puzzles, whatever. Do those things to even if it's only 5 minutes that you can do that. Really, with some of you guys in your schedules, that's all you can afford. But take care of yourself. And I know with Columbine and Green Mountain, people say, make sure you're taking care of yourself. Said, nee. You guys don't understand what I'm going through. I don't have time to take care of myself. That's kind of, I wouldn't say that, but that's what I was feeling inside. It's like, yeah, I wish I could, but I don't have time. But that's where I learned, do those little things to take care of yourself. So bless you guys. I love you. Thank you for what you're doing and the impact you're making, and just take one day at a time and reach those kids that you got to reach out to, and hang in there.
I'm inspired, Laura.
I'm inspired too. This is incredible.
Were your wheels turning?
Absolutely.
Turning.
Yes.
I was thinking practically things that just hearing you talk, I started thinking, Laura, when we get back to school, let the kids lead in ways that maybe we wouldn't have thought had we not talked to Sandy.
Absolutely.
Let the kids lead in areas of need.
You have proven that, and that's the one thing that stood out to me when you were talking about when you started the Bionic Club. Most clubs had 15. You prepared for 15, and 40 showed up. They want to be part of the solution.
Yes.
And we can put systems in place all day long, and I'm going back to something else that I heard you say, a sign that students had made from Japan.
Yes.
Meant more to your students than things that businesses had put in place. So it means more when students are part of the solution. So yeah, that's my big takeaway from this. And it sounds like Bionic is the key to that, getting those things in place. So Sandy, tell us how we can get more information about Bionic.
All right. So what's interesting is through the years, I just thought it's got to be simple and short and easy to implement, because I knew as a school counselor all those years, I didn't have time. And that's where with the whole bullying thing, I was doing Bionic, and I was the only sponsor for a while. The best scenario is to have school or counselor, teacher, or anything. When I left Pomona, they dropped a counselor. And so 4 teachers said, we'll take it on. And so the best scenario is to have an adult in charge of each of those teams. And so anyway, so what happened, now I just lost my train of thought. How to start it. Okay. So, but as through the years, I thought, we've heard these programs out there that cost $5,000. If I do that, my school district did not have the money. I would be spending so much time raising that money and then continue to raise it every year. So when I started Bionic, I told my board, because I'd been giving it away for years, and I said, I wish I could do that. They said, Sandy, we're running an organization now. We need to, raise money. And I said, but I want it to be as little as possible because I don't want it to be a burden on the schools. And so what happens with Bionic, the difference that we make, it's worth $5,000, but we're not charging that. So we just charge $200 to become an official Bionic team. Go to bionicteam.org. You go on there. We'll give you a Bionic in a box. We have a starter kit manual in there that we're still finishing, revamping and everything to be official. And so we'll be done with that this spring. You'll get all that information, how to roll everything out. And that's the thing. I'm not in this to make money. I'm not in this to be rich or anything. I just want to empower kids to make a difference in this world. And that's the greatest joy in the world there. That's makes me the richest. I think I'm the richest woman in the world because of all that. But anyway, so that's it. You just go on there. We have information. Again, bionicteam.org, look on there. And you can look through there. We're still revising things for for Bionic and everything, but let me know. Contact me, Sandy at bionicteam.org, and I'll be in touch with you. And I'm the only one that's working for Bionic right now because we have a lot of the grants and stuff. We've been getting grants, but they say you have to prove yourself before we give you more money, to hire people and stuff. So anyway, so that's kind of what's going on. But I thought if it goes under, I will still run Bionic out of I've been running it out of my kitchen right now. So, but I'll just keep doing it because that's it. The day I die, I'm going to do this till the day I die, even if I'm 90 years old and I'm sitting here. So if you guys are still doing this in 30 years, I'll be there. Yeah, it's going great.
Tell
So
us about,
now you did voices. That's great.
tell us about your books also. I want to know about your books.
Okay. Again, they're really faith-based. Well, the first one is when I was in college doing my master's degree, I came up with a plan because my nieces and nephews were getting ready to go to college, but they weren't getting the help they needed. And so I created a little resource book for them. And so it's called Focus on Your Future. I really need oxygen. And, there's less oxygen in Colorado. So with how fast I talk, you guys are understanding that. But anyway, first one is Focus on Your Future. It's college and career planning for high school, choices for high school students. And so that takes, and that was my first one. That was about 15 years ago. And all these are on Amazon. And then my second one was what was interesting after my Columbine experience and with Bionic. Someone, a Christian publishing company said, Sandy, what you've learned from those things, you need to put it out there. People need to hear this stuff about the resilience and that type of thing. So the second one was Angry Teens and the Parents Who Love Them. And so I talk about, boy, in fact, now is a good time to put that out because a lot of angry teens right now with all this lockdown and stuff. Whoa, you guys gave me an idea. So anyway, Angry Teens and the Parents Who Love Them. And the last one was the very first school I taught at was Scottsdale Christian Academy. That's when I was went to Arizona. No, that wasn't the first school. No, it was a couple schools later. That's when I was trying to get back to Colorado. So anyway, they hired me. And so one of the organizations down there, they said, Sandy, we want you to write a book to help churches and youth groups and Christian schools how to deal with something like if a Columbine tragedy happened at our school. So it's crisis manual for Christian schools and youth workers. And basically that's everything I learned about Columbine. is in there about how a school can do a crisis plan. So I was hoping they wouldn't narrow it down to just Christian schools and churches. It's like, this is for all schools. And that's what I told them, can you guys do it? They said, no, that's not our, and I learned that too late after I'd signed the contract. So it's basically everything we learned from Columbine and the suicides at Green Mountain, how to do a crisis plan, how to prepare, so that all the staff and the families, how to reach out as things are going on. So those are my 3 books.
Did you get those written down, Laura?
I got them.
Because we're going to be ordering them, Sandy. We're going to be ordering them.
All right.
Well, Laura, when are we headed to Colorado?
I'm
Tomorrow.
packing my bags. As soon as we get off of this, I'm packing my bags.
Yay, come on out, you guys. Are you guys going to be at ASCA?
Well,
They
yeah,
have it?
you're supposed to be speaking at ASCA.
Oh, good. I know,
So-
I know. Me too. So if we're there, we've got to meet you guys.
Oh, please.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I'm excited just thinking about it.
Oh,
yes, so that is, but I have no doubt our paths are going to cross again.
Yeah.
They moved that back or rearranged that time, even so. We're going to get together. But
you
Sandy,
bet.
we love you. Your
Oh.
faith, your strength. You are our sister, and we love you. And thank you for all you're doing. Just continue the work, continue and you helping people.
Oh, thank you. And you guys, and your listeners, if you're down, if you're getting overwhelmed, call me or 303-238-3595 or email me and we'll talk. I mean, even if you just need, because I know all those years I needed that support going through those things. So if you just need to talk to someone, call me or email me and we'll do a Zoom call so we can see each other and talk. But anyway, but hang in there, you guys. You guys are my heroes. So anything I can do for you, you let me know.
So good. Thank you.
Thank you. Bless you guys.
After you listen to this next part, you may want to go check out the video on YouTube. Go to our YouTube page. The link will be in the show notes because this may be worth watching. I have belly laughed watching this part. So Kim, I'm going to throw this out there. You tell me what you think.
I'm going to catch it.
Instead of having a pick of the week, a cat pick of the week, and a tip, trick, or technique of the week, during this time of being at home, do you think we could just narrow it down to one thing a piece?
This is what I'm going to throw something out, and I want you to catch it. Okay, I'm going to throw this out. You narrow it to nothing from you and 3 from me.
Okay, deal.
That's fair.
Deal.
Okay.
Especially,
Done.
I'd like to see it happen since you never have anything prepared. First of all, you're always like, "Oh, what'd you come up with?" Okay, yeah, that'll be mine too.
Let's narrow it down to whatever your pick is.
All right.
It can be funny. It can be whatever. So start. What's your pick?
My pick is, this is going to sound crazy, but my pick is the smell of burnt hair. I don't know what happened, but in fixing my hair, all I can smell right now is burnt hair. I don't remember burning it, but apparently it's burned. The ends are burned. And it reminded me, it took me back to a little trip you and I took to Augusta, Georgia. And I have to tell y'all, Kim was sick as a dog. It was the worst of times and it was the best of times. Truly, it's like the funniest trip that we've ever taken. We have fun everywhere we go, but there's just something about that trip that
we laughed from the time we left our Alabama all the way to Georgia and back.
So
but yes, I was so sick. I was so sick.
I didn't realize how sick till I went back and listened to the video of when we spoke, and she sounded like this frog that, I don't know, it was bad. But that morning when we were getting ready, of course we were trying to get beautiful, and we put every sort of hair product known to man in this hair, because the bigger the better in the South, the bigger the better. So we were both trying to tease our hair up real big, and all of a sudden I smell burnt hair like never before. I look over and Kim is blow drying her hair like the Muppet. There's a GIF or a GIF, however you say it, of a Muppet. If you will search Muppet blow drying hair, it has 3 strands of hair, and that's what Kim looked like with her burnt hair. Straight up. So that's like one of my favorite all-time memories.
It literally just came off in the brush, like this huge amount of hair just came right off. That's when I learned that you have to have the nozzle or nozzle. I don't know. Nozzle,
I say nozzle.
You say nozzle.
I nuzzle a big.
So you have to have that thing on there, and if you have that thing on high and you're hitting those coils on that head of hair, that's a burn right there. So yes, thank you for memory lane.
Yes,
Trip down memory lane. All right. So, well, my tip, trick, hats off this week is for the grocery store workers. So the heroes that we see, Laura, coming forth, and I see these people who are working so hard, and we're not getting out at all. So I'm using Instacart, and so I had an order today through Instacart, and it never arrived. So I called the driver, and she is in the next little town over. She had missed Fairview completely and had landed in Eva. And so I said, let me help you back. And I don't,
oh boy,
I'm directionally impaired. And so I told her, I said, well, you go to, I told her you go to the store, and because there's just one store in Fairview. Well, that's not on this side. And so anyway, she gets to the store, and I said, now you're going to turn immediately right. But I didn't tell her that in time. So she has to turn around, and then she has to turn left. So she gets down. I said, now you just go straight. Well, I realized after 10 minutes and she didn't show up, there was a turn. And so I said, well, now you're just going to have to go to the end of the road. And so we stayed on that phone forever. And so when
everybody knows how to get to
I led her in to because they're bringing it out here in the country because we're 20 minutes from that grocery store. So anyway, she delivers it, and she gets out and she goes, Miss Crumbley, remember me? And it was a former student.
Aw.
I know. And I said, I was acting like you didn't know anything about this area, and you're a Fairview girl, and you still got lost. But it was really neat. And I had to go back in and give her a little bit more tip money because I, obviously did not know how to tell her to get here, and she was driving all over the country, no telling how much it cost her. But anyway, I just think about these folks who are helping in this time for folks that can't get out, and they're out there doing these things and working. And so it was really neat to we laughed about that and got to see her again. So it was a high school student that I'd had it was one of my students there. So that's my little hats off to our workers who are willing to deliver stuff right to your door. And that's been my mail people too, my mail carriers.
Yeah.
And, I told you I cried thanking the UPS man the other day.
Yeah. So good. All right. Well, thank you for listening. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. Join our Facebook group, Counselor Accents Group. And you can also like our Counselor Accents page. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Those are all the places to find us. We're hanging out somewhere there. So go check us out.